Welcome to the Take Care Sis podcast with me, Ki and Kiki.
Join two friends for a conversation around self-care in real life. We'll talk about anything on the spectrum from bubble baths to setting boundaries to managing friendships and more.
As your sisters, we also just want to provide a weekly check-in. You know, like big sis asking little sis, sis, you good? So come on in, sis. Let's talk about how we can take better care of ourselves. What's up, Kiki?
Hey, Ki, how are you?
Friend, listen, I'm good. I'm anxious about this episode, but I'm good. How are you?
As am I.
All right, y'all, we're just going to tell you, right? Here today, we got Dr. Blue again. And y'all know she blew our minds. I fainted all over the place last time, but this time she brought friends. I hope you're ready because I wasn't. So I hope that you're ready. We have with us today, we have Dr. Ebony Blue, cognitive behavioral therapist from the Haven Healing Spot. We also have her partner in crime, Miss Damitra Smith. She is a licensed chemical dependency counselor, and she helps with addiction issues. She is also from the Haven Healing Spot. And finally, we have Mr. Mike Pettiway. He is a men's wellness coach, and the title given to him is a Fisher of Men, and he too is from the Haven Healing Spot. Our folks are all out of Texas, so check them out. Find them on the webs and whatnot. But anyway, and of course, it's just me and Kate. So let's go.
So we're going to talk about what we talked about last week, or give a recap of last week.
Yes.
So last week we talked with our friends at the Trash to Checklist podcast, and we just kind of went over that concept of not living on everybody else's timeline and trashing checklists all over the place, because we live our own lives, we have our own things, and we live on our own timelines. That's basically everything in a nutshell.
Amen.
Right?
That's what we talked about. How was your week? What did you do? What did you do fun?
Well, we went to a comedy show.
And laughed my cheeks off.
Yes. Like, your cheeks hurt? You good?
My cheeks still hurt. My cheeks still hurt. It was mad funny. So that's what we did. And I'm going to say that's what we did for self-care. Dr. B, you're up. What did you do last week for self-care?
I was intentional about eating. It's been super hot, so I haven't had much of an appetite, which makes me not want to eat anything because I can't find anything that I like. So I just really did a lot of smoothies and fruit and salads, and so far so good. I haven't passed out and fainted on anybody.
Okay, well that's healthy. That's healthy.
Lots of water.
Triggered. And she I'm similar. When it's hot, I just want my watermelon and my fruit. Miss Damitra, how was your week last week, and what did you do for self-care?
My week was great. I went to the movies to see Doctor Strange in Multiverse because I really wanted to see it. And
did you enjoy it?
Yes.
There's very mixed reviews from the Marvel people on that movie, so wanted to see how you fared in that regard.
Well, it wasn't your normal or typical Marvel movie. And it did venture off into like horror somewhere along the lines. And the movie was nothing like what they portrayed in the preview. So I can understand why people, when they went to see it, they were like, what is this? But it was very, very eye-opening, informative and educational about where we are right now in today's society with certain things. Because with the multiverse, just in general, the community, or not the community, just people in general have been moving more towards spirituality and things of that nature. So with seeing a movie like this, it just, tell us where our minds are
Gotcha.
at this point.
And finally, Mr. Mike, how was your week last week, and what did you do for self-care?
Week was awesome last week. Got an opportunity to go to work and pay bills, which is always awesome. I spent the better part of the week supporting my teenage daughter in her camp adventures over the summer, and that's kind of how I decompress. I'm a true outdoorsman, so I spend a lot of my time at Academy and Home Depot and places like Bass Pro. So I visited all of my favorite stores and shopped for all of my favorite things.
Those are the stores that I don't even know what they look like on the inside.
Oh, they're awesome. You should go. Would love to give you a tour.
Well, thanks.
So that's the men's equivalent to Target for women, I guess?
Yeah. So the men's equivalent to Target for women would be Bass Pro. The men's equivalent to Walmart for women would be Academy or Home Depot.
Love Academy.
Yeah, you're a boy mom though, so like,
Yeah,
you probably spend a lot of time.
The prices are so good. Now I know it's the Walmart of sporting goods.
Yeah.
I know where the shoe section is in Academy because I get like my running shoes or my workout shoes. That's it. That I don't really.
You don't go on the opposite side. See the hunting stuff, all the firearms, paraphernalia, fishing, a lot of fishing stuff there.
I'll just be lost, just absolutely lost.
All the weightlifting exercise equipment.
Weightlifting exercise stuff. That's right, D.
That's what Amazon is for.
What?
Not weightlifting. No, I just go to the gym. I'm not.
But don't you want to try it out before you get it? Sometimes. See if you're gonna like it. No? Okay.
That's where Kohl's return section is.
For Amazon.
Right.
Just
know that
your audience knows, none of these businesses are sponsoring you guys, but you are more than welcome to be sponsored by Target, Amazon, Academy. Feel free to throw affiliate action your way.
Listen, hey, come through, Target. Come through. I will make. Listen, my Target got stuff in my cart right now. My Target. We're gonna move on. Kiki, what did we say we was doing last week? I don't remember, so I have to ask you.
I mean, I don't even remember last week.
Let's move on. Let's move on. All right, y'all. What's trending? What's got you popping? Or what's on the brain in terms of social media? And I say social media because that is where Kiki and I advertise the most. So what's on social media that's got you just like, hey, or ooh, or whatever? All right, Mike, we're gonna go with you first, Coach Mike.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Give us just one, sir, just one.
What's got me hyped on social media? I don't really visit social media like I should, but if I had to talk about one thing, gun laws are changing right now across America. We're kind of struggling with some of the major mass shootings that are happening here. My heart goes out to all of those people who were affected, and for those people who have people that were affected. But I was concerned about some of the attitudes, anger, and despair following the last major shooting here in Uvalde, and hope that the world, or at least our nation, can get a grip on this out of control spending thing called gun control, and come up with some useful plans to move forward.
That's dope. Ms. Damitra?
Well, I'm gonna go a different direction and say the thing that has been popping up on my social media a lot lately is the issue with Lori Harvey and Michael B. Jordan, and apparently, Lori Harvey being, I don't know what they say she's being.
She's trash. She's trash for hurting poor Michael B.
What?
I'm like, is he not a human being? Is she not a human being? She was honest. Isn't that what you want? you want her to be honest and not lead you on and say yes to a proposal that she doesn't want. You want,
Exactly.
but apparently because she is in the limelight and dating as a celebrity puts everybody in your business. They want to be all up in her business, but she's in her 20s and she's doing what young women in their 20s do, which is date and figure out if you want to be in a relationship with someone or not, and figure out what your life path is going to be right now.
I'm no therapist, but I really think it's a lot of projection going on here. It's a lot of women who just wish they could have Michael B mad at her. It's a lot of men who think they wish they could be Michael B that mad at her. And I'm just like, what? She literally said no and didn't want to put him in further. Like, would y'all rather them get married, be unhappy? She divorced him, take half, and then y'all be mad? Like, what do y'all want?
The things that they've been saying about her, I feel like, what are you doing? What, this little girl ain't did nothing to you.
She was having fun living her best life.
She's doing what she's supposed to do. She's supposed to date, figure out what you want. I mean, it's a data collection. You're figuring out who you want, who you don't want. She only wasted a year. Not even wasted. She only took a year. He wanted to move forward. She didn't. That's that. Breakups happen. That's it. I don't understand why people are so up in arms about it.
I think if I could interject here, I think that the real problem is that Lori Harvey is doing something you normally see the opposite gender do. This is very tragic, for the world, right? We're not used to seeing women make these types of decisions on the fly, and it's worrying us, right? Lori Harvey is young. She is doing the things, like Kiki said, she is doing the things that, any young person would do at this time in their life. But you normally are used to seeing women get their hearts broken and then crying into the pillow or to their friends about these types of relationships. And it turns out that she was able to pull the trigger before him, or she was able to pull the trigger. I don't know if he wanted to or not, but and get out of there. And it's a little disturbing, right? I know when I saw it for the first time, I was like, wow, this girl she's moving fast. But the truth is that she's moving at the same rate of speed that most men moved at this time. So,
the other part of the conversation to that is that they think that she is basically she was a placeholder for him because he's not heterosexual. And they think that he's gay and that he needed someone to present a front for him. The research has been said that he's been seen in gay clubs, that Lori Harvey actually has a man behind closed doors, and that's what the problem was, and that's why they were putting it out into the public. Because everybody was questioning about Michael B. Jordan, why he was never seen with a woman.
He was seen with a woman. Me and my loins are upset about that whole conversation. I'm upset. Let's move on. Dr. B, it's your turn.
To be honest with y'all, I mentioned this last time and I've realized more and more I'm a nerd. So like my current events are like health journals and metaphysics. So I've been looking at neuroplasticity and ways to teach. I feel like I like checkers, but I'm just out here looking at ways to help people really understand like the law of attraction and growth mindset. So that's all I've been reading and doing. She told me about Michael B. I didn't know what was going on. So I was like, oh, wait, what? I just saw memes. So my current events are this summer, get the dopamine, get the oxytocin, get all of the endorphins you can by working out, getting vitamin D, staying grounded, being barefoot, and then see what this fall is going to bring you in your harvest season. Use the summer to sow, not just to be out here in hoochie daddy shorts. So,
but what are hoochie daddy shorts?
Dr. Mike, we're gonna have to talk offline, sir.
Okay.
We're gonna have to talk offline. But listen,
that's a real thing. Okay.
He just started joggers, y'all. He just got onto the jogger game. So now we taking him to the new heights of hoochie daddy shorts.
You've officially become Uncle Mike with that statement.
We
put you in a different category, Uncle Mike.
All right.
Dr. B, the nerd in me. So once upon a time, I thought I was going to be a neurotherapist. So I'm here for it. Just completely here for it. I'll go ahead and give mine, and then Kiki, you can finish out with yours. So it's Pride Month, right? And I work in the health equity space in the nonprofit world. And so I actually was grateful because I got to have this hella wonderful conversation with two of my coworkers that are in the community. Because one thing that I was the science person in me, I'm just like, you go to the doctor and the doctor has to give you, the doctor's there for science. Like, I don't understand why so many LGBTQ people have issues in terms of equity in healthcare, right? And they kind of broke it down for me, and I was just like, wow. So I was grateful to be able to have that conversation, to have that safe space. And even in therapy, like it's a thing. And they have like their own little networks of therapists because, they don't want to be judged and they want to talk from a non-heteronormative space and all that other stuff. So my mind was a little blown. So that's what was my thing this past week. Kiki?
Well, I'm just going to end on a semi-high note. We know it's graduation season, and we're also talking about Father's Day season. I just saw a video of a guy who was there for, I guess, one of his children's graduations, but literally clapped for every person and yelled out their name. Like, I thought it was so cute. He and she showed the entire program, and it's a lot of people, but he was just sitting there clapping for everybody and just cheering everybody on. And you think about the people who go to graduations and don't really have a support system. You think about how much that means to them when somebody's clapping for them, even if they don't know them. But you go up there and you hear silence. Sometimes that's a lot. But if somebody's yelling your name and you don't even know who they are, that can make you feel good in the moment. So I thought that was cute. Just wanted to share that.
That is cute. Well, everybody, thank you for sharing. Let's get into it. So the topic on the table, this is our Father's Day episode, right? And while the majority of the Take Care Sis podcast found on Anchor and all other podcast platforms, while the majority of our listeners are women, we had to do something for the dads. So we brought our therapist on, and we're going to talk about, I'm just going to say a blanket term of daddy issues. We're going to talk about daddy issues. We're going to talk about how women can help support the fathers in their lives, how women can speak to the fathers in their lives. And we're going to talk about, we got Michael here to talk for the fathers. Or to talk for the men. So let's just go ahead and get into it. Kiki, you want to go with the first question?
Sure. So, in a healthline.com article about daddy issues, it says that people who have a loving and secure relationship with their caregivers are likely to grow into confident and self-assured adults. What are some of the ways as parents we can foster this growth? And what are some ways that partners to men can support or foster these relationships? So that is to Dr. Ebony first, I'm guessing.
Okay, so, fostering growth as a parent, I think first, for me, I like to work with parents to find out what type of parenting style they have. At least with our background, most of us grew up in homes that practice some sort of type of corporal punishment, aka whoopings. So if you're a parent now with what some people consider new age, we find other alternative forms of discipline. So as far as like daddy issues in that department, thinking about how we're rearing our children, the language that we're using, the way that we teach them consequences, that it may not look like how things were reinforced to an 80s or a 70s baby. It can look very much different for these Gen Z and alpha babies because they just have a different identity, gender fluidity, the way that they dress, the way conversations are being had, just us evolving as a community. As parents, I think we need to tap into all those changes so that we have emotional awareness. I know as a parent myself, not necessarily being in the fatherhood role, but just being a boy mom, being aware of your own emotional awareness, not being afraid of therapy or coaching, and having a wellness support system has been beneficial to figure out how to do something that you don't have experience in until after you're already charged with the job. Like, you're learning how to be a good parent on a daily basis, working with a perfect stranger that belongs to you by genetics, but is their own individual person. So all the ups and downs of that, for me, making sure that I'm raising healthy Black men, those things are important to me with being emotionally well and aware.
That's major. How you said this person that belongs to you by genetics, but is their own individual person. That's major. That's pretty dope. How can, and maybe this question might be for Uncle Mike, how can we as partners to men help support or foster the relationship between, help foster a loving and secure relationship from father to child?
Right. So that's a great question. What I believe is that just remember that fatherhood is not just in the home, right? Whether your child's father stays with you, you all have a great relationship or not, that mentorship, whether he is there or outside the home, still needs to be fostered by the relationship you have with the father, right? So, or with the male that is fathering your child. Remember to always maintain a good, solid, healthy relationship with any male mentorships that you believe will help your child grow in the future, whether that be a coach for a sports activity or a mentor in a school activity, or just the child's genetic father, biological father. Make sure you maintain those relationships, healthy relationships, and get the child to interact with the person in that relationship, right? Whether he is inside the home or not.
Thank you for that.
So some women that grew up without a father figure become a super strong woman to compensate. So can we talk a little bit about this and how we can address this for ourselves as this person or even as the child of this person?
Anyone can answer.
Yeah, this was a really good question that we were talking about early, because I'm definitely guilty of it. Uncle Mike might make a face. Hyper independence is not healthy, especially when you're in a vulnerable season and you're in your receiving mode. Being hyper independent can actually be a shortcoming, but because the consequences of that, we're typically awarded for it. So promoted, highly educated, successful, wealthy, whatever. But on the inside, we're not necessarily having, those deficits addressed. Our emotional wellness isn't really tapped into. The outside looks really great, but internally there's some need for work. So I didn't necessarily have an absent father, but he wasn't the healthiest. And so I learned very quickly how to do things on my own and do things for myself and make sure that but what does that do when you need to actually collaborate and build a partnership or have a healthy romantic relationship? How do you do that if you're so accustomed to always doing it by yourself and on your own? So, just being aware that always having on a cape is not your strength. Being vulnerable is. Being very authentic and loving and open is going to get you a lot further. And also just being super independent. When we if this is a one-on-one kind of therapeutic conversation, to make sure you're not developing avoidant disorders in your personality, where you're isolating yourself from people, where you're not collaborative in a team environment, where you're not receptive to any type of feedback, and you end up in this cycle just spinning your wheels and wondering why not only your external environment is not changing, but internally you're burnt out and feeling very much so alone and unworthy of other people. So if anyone is in that mindset, like their life is really great, but internally there's some things that are off, what could be the problem? It may be that hyper independence and needing a wellness coach or a therapist or someone to get you outside of your own head to see you ain't got to do all this by yourself, girl. You can know how to change the tire, but baby, why you on the side of the road at night by yourself? That's what AAA is for. That's what your support system is for. Don't suffer in silence. Be man or woman. You're not supposed to go at this alone. We're a collective.
Everybody.
I am a strong, independent Black woman, but I need help. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's so hard to say.
Why? But why?
I was about to ask the same question. Why is that so hard to say?
It's not hard for me. I practiced.
But see, the fact that you had to practice,
right?
That's an issue. It's and it's not just, I know that your question was about growing up without a father figure, but that's not those aren't the only Black women that have to compensate in that way. If you grew up with childhood trauma and you could have had a father figure that was very controlling and stayed on you, but you were made to feel like you were a burden, then you become also extremely independent, super strong. You don't want to ask for help because you don't want to be a burden to others. And that's the way you grew up.
Yeah. We're going to circle back to that trauma question. But in the same vein of kind of like fathers who either or absent or so on and so forth, let's talk about the emotionally distant father or partner. For example, the man that grows up believing that providing is to be there physically, and that is enough to rear children, or that is enough to have a partner. Like I work to put food on the table, and that type of thing. And so they're absent emotionally with their partners or their children. What are some best practices to deal with this as a partner one, as a child of this person two, or even as this person? I know it's loaded.
I feel like everybody's looking at me right now.
Come on with it, Coach Mike.
I got answers.
Come on with the answers.
Right. So listen. Providing is a key tenet to successful masculinity. Providing is a key tenet to fatherhood. Providing is a key tenet for graduating from boy to man. If you can provide for your family, your friends, and your community, you have now stepped up into an arena where you can be respected by men your age or above, or elders at that level, right? So provision is a key, is a badge for men. In some communities, not all, but in most communities. This is the reason why men that provide think that this is the goal. This is where you get a lot of respect. Emotionally, most men growing up did not have the luxury of allowing their emotional state to hinder them from this successful journey. So we tend to block it out. If you were lucky enough to have a woman in your life and have a child, you depended on that woman, her emotional state, to help kind of control, govern, and manage the emotional state of the family. This is why you see that the first two parts of your question, right? Why men are kind of separated emotionally, why they don't allow that to happen. Michael Basin, some years ago, maybe 20 or 25 years ago, wrote a book about men cry in the dark. The truth is that men don't cry at all. And if they do cry, it's probably somewhere alone, because we're not afforded the opportunity to be emotional unless we are interacting directly with somebody we trust emotionally, right? It's the way that you got into the relationship with him. It's probably how you conceive the child that you have. Use those same tenets to keep him constantly in that path, in that circle, right? So whenever your man gets outside of his emotional grasp, or he starts to hyper focus on the success of providing for the family, reel him back in with the same secret sauce you use to catch it, right? When you talk to him, speak to him in soft, loving language. Make sure you touch him in ways that make him feel more vulnerable. Ask him questions, not just about his day, but key in. You know him the most. You know the most about him emotionally at that time. Ask him questions and then look for the response emotionally in him. He might tell you nothing's going on, but you know when his eyes are furrowed, or if he's kind of, downtrodden, or maybe he comes in and sits in that chair in that same space where he normally pouts about something, that there is something wrong. Help him to work through those things when you see them, because he may not be able to identify them immediately. And not that that's an excuse for men, but if you do identify it before him, make sure that you help him to identify it. And then also allow him the flexibility to make a goal to get out of it. That is a lot of the times where the rubber meets the road, right? That women can identify an issue and they kind of know where they want you to go, but they also want to tell you where the goal is and tell you how to get there. You got to allow him to participate in this solution, right? So help him make his decision. I see the face, Ki. I'm gonna let you talk in just a second. Help him make his decision, and then map out the plan to get there.
I want you to know we all have made faces through that.
Listen, I'm just taking my notes, and he up here talking about, I see the face, Ki. Just taking my notes, drinking my water.
Yeah, right. But
that was a lot to like digest, because especially the part about let him make his own goals and paths. But I have the goal, or I have the vision. Anyway, I'm gonna do better.
No, but listen, that mindset is an asset in any relationship. What she say, Mike? She has the vision, and what is she in the relationship? The navigator.
Yeah, she's the navigator. That's exactly what she's supposed to be. I tell. That's look. Dr. Blue already knows, and ND too. You're supposed to have the vision. That's the thing. And if you have it, if you have the gift, if you were born with it, you're gonna use it, right? But you gotta allow him to make the goal. You can't jump in the driver's seat and tell him, we going to Astroworld. You gotta let him say that. He gotta participate in this.
So I know I'm not supposed to ask the questions, but my favorite one, what if they don't want to participate? Because as women, that's what we have. You're like, help them understand emotion and help them, really work through the language of it and process it. But a lot of times when we're trying to help convert from that provider mentality to let men know it's not enough. You can't bring just your money to the table because we got money too. You can't bring just paying the bills because the bills are going to get paid. If your emotional wellness isn't sound, these are the tools or things that we can do to help you. If you reject that because that's not normalized, what can we do to bridge that gap?
Man, that's a really good question. The times have changed, right? Back when my grandparents were growing up, there was, men provided, right? They brought in money. Women weren't really responsible, even if they did stuff. But now, finances are equal. But the mindset, the concept of masculinity hasn't changed much. So what you're gonna have to do is continue to be that person, that emotional spirit that you are. Continue to have the vision. Ki, remember that you always have the map. You know exactly how to get to goals. But ask him, what goals are we working towards? If he says, hey, babe, I don't think we have enough money, show him, well, no, I feel differently, but let's talk about it more. He's going to get frustrated because men get frustrated when their plans don't work the first time. Comfort him in that. You're not going to leave his side and nothing bad is going to happen. Right? If you fail, it's just an opportunity to try it again. That's what it is. Right? And we don't give ourselves the leeway to fail. Denzel Washington said in a speech that he was giving at a graduation, anything that you do all the time, you'll get good at, but you'll have to fail at it in order to learn from it. So If your relationship with a man does not have any failures, then you're not getting good at relationship. It's supposed to fail at some point. And if you fail enough, you become a much better person in that relationship, regardless of what side you sit on, right?
I'm just glad I'm going to have this as a recording. I can just play it back. A couple times. I just play it back until I got it. Uh-oh, she come with a question.
Because Uncle Mike, it sounds kind of like you asking women to teach men how to be men. So I got a question. Is that what you're doing? Because that's what it sounds like.
No. I'm teaching that. No, so I'm not. I don't want you to teach a man how to be a man. I want you to be a woman, and that in itself teaches men how to be men. There is a passage in the Bible that talks about the space that men and women stand in directly. But the part of it I want to talk about is you being you. If you sit in your seat, he has no other option but to sit in his. So as long as you are constantly being the best wife, mother, woman, whether that's independent or dependent, if you're sitting in your seat, he doesn't have another seat to sit in. He's got to go sit in his. So I'm not asking you to teach a man how to be a man. I'm just asking you to be a woman so he can be a man.
Okay.
I like the way you phrased that.
Yes. I had questions,
Yeah, because a lot of times, men, we play, both sides. Strong, independent women, right? All of those words are adjectives to describe positive women. We think, right? But what's wrong with a dependent, emotionally attached woman?
We're not taking no shit.
Right. Well, what is taking shit? So what is taking shit? Is it that when a person takes advantage of you that you stay?
No. I mean, anything less than you being able to be 100% invested in your actions, your wellness, your behavior, the goals. So if you're coming to somebody and you're like, what are the goals? And your driver isn't prepared to sit in the seat. You sitting in yours, seated in faith, since you said you're gonna go where the man is, where the woman is. So you're seated in faith and you're doing all the things, and you notice that your partner's internalized inadequacies are now influencing the relationship. If I'm strong, independent, and well-adjusted and emotionally well, and I've been taught through having a lovely therapist how to stay balanced and well, when I realize my partner is not well. And I think there was also a question about like the children in this, right? What are the consequences of an emotionally absent parent? It's children that are not emotionally well, right? And you are now overcompensating for that wellness as whichever parent, the parent that's a male that has the emotionally absent mother or vice versa. But in this conversation, we're talking about men not being present, right? Emotionally sound and well, taking our nurturing guidance and input. If they're not receptive to that, that's where the pushback can come in. We're not playing that. It's out there. It's on social media, right? We have wellness practitioners saying, take care, sis. So as soon as you look to the left, if he ain't taking care, then that ain't a part of the program. What we supposed to do?
Well, hey, that's a good question. You hit like 4 or 5 major topics in that on purpose, Dr. Blue, because I know you shoot with both hands, ambidextrous. Both guns out. That all of those are great points, right? If like I said earlier, if this thing fails, right? If he's sitting in his seat not doing much and you're sitting in your seat doing everything, it can feel uncomfortable, right? That relationship is tough. And I agree with you, D. You can't show him how to drive from the passenger seat. He's got to know, right? He's got to understand that. That's the deficiency of the first question, right? What happens when women or when men are raised in single parent households, right? They're being taught their entire life how to fend for themselves defensively. And that's what we're trying to reverse. So if your man emotionally is not there and it's affecting your children emotionally, right? Getting the help you need from Dr. Blue, soon to be Dr. D, those places for resources are super important. But first steps is identification, and you need help with that. So if you got a person in your life that you love and you care about, and you see them struggling emotionally, and you don't feel like your support is enough, make sure you reach out to people that can help you.
You don't do it alone.
Hey, look, y'all are taking on my questions. So hold on. The next question on the paper says, what are some ways that a supportive and emotionally available parent will give us the skills for, just one question, a healthy parent-child relationship? Anyone can answer.
So with this particular question, are you asking us how to like step into like hold space with that if there's a parent, if they have someone who has a emotionally distant partnership, or just in general how to tap in as a parent?
So I guess I want to address the contrast, right? So yeah, like it's easy, well, not easy, but more often we see the effects, or maybe even negative effects, of the emotionally distant partner.
Mhm.
What about for the partners that are supportive, right? Or what about for the parents are supportive and are there? Like, what are some ways that a supportive and emotionally parent will give us the skills for a healthy parent-child relationship? So basically, what are the benefits of being a healthy and supportive and emotional available parent to your parent-child relationship?
Anybody?
I got a 16-year-old, and I think I'm a great dad. But I was her best friend when she, like, from 0 to 12 and a half.
12 and a half.
Yeah, somewhere between 12 and a half and 13 and a half. She changed on me, and now I'm not her favorite parent right now. Now, people keep telling me that this circle comes back around. I'm gonna be her favorite parent again at some point. But consistency is what I tell folks that you have to do. Be consistent. Be consistent, because right now I could take her places and pay for stuff and do stuff for her, and she's real monotone with me. And it's not, I don't think that she doesn't love me. I think that she loves me. I just think that she's in her parents just don't understand moment. She don't think that I was ever 16, right? As far as she was concerned, I was born at least 28, somewhere 30. Which kind of echoes something you said earlier, Ki, about your parents and how you actually see them romantically. So, that's kind of where she is right now. So consistency is what I would tell you, is that whatever love you use to get them to that successful adolescent stage, continue with that, even though that path is not quite as clear as it was before. From what I understand, the clarity is coming on the other side of this tunnel. And though I'm in the woods right now, right? So I'm in the dark at this moment. I believe in the structure. So love, consistency, making sure to keep healthy relationships around her, whether like I said, whether the other parent is in the house or not. And then continue to grow as yourself, right? Kids are following the most successful adult right now. Listen to that for a moment. Your children, our children, all children are following the most successful adult in their view. It used to be when you were young that the most successful adult you had to know them, you had to see them somewhere. But now with social media, the advent of social media, that person can be anybody. It could be anybody anywhere, right? So whoever you are as a person, make sure you're happy with you and your happiness is shining bright, because your child is watching. And they will follow you if the light in you is bright enough.
I think that an emotionally available parent kind of gives the child that I don't know what to call it, but there's a little voice in the back of your head. I know all of y'all have it. And when you're making decisions and when you're going through your life, that little voice in the back of your head is usually your parents and everything that they taught you. What's right, what's wrong. When you're dealing with a situation, you hear them in the back of your mind. Should I do this? Shouldn't I do this? Do I need to call my mom and dad, and see if they have a better option for what, whatever is being presented to me? Can they help me come up with a plan, problem solve? You give your child support. And a lot of children don't have that. Even coming into adulthood, going off to college, they don't have a parent that they can call and ask how to navigate this. What should I do with this? It's why a lot of, when we see the strong Black woman, it's why they became that, because they didn't have somebody behind them that they could ask and say, how am I supposed to do this? So they just had to get it out the mud, right? They just had to, let me figure this out. Let me ask somebody else. Let me go read an article. Let me go research this website. Let me go, but when you have an emotionally available parent, you're providing your child comfort.
I think with being an emotionally connected parent, giving your child the opportunity to speak so that you can hear, what those influences are actually doing to their mindset, and not, you're the parent, right? But you're there to guide, you're not there to control. Mm-hmm. So being open to what your child has to say to you and not to take it personal, but to realize that they are very much so responsive to, you being well-adjusted or you being chaotic or whatever, that they're going to always speak truth, and you have to be open. And that's where that vulnerability thing comes in. Be prepared for your kid to feel like you maybe didn't do a good job here. They might not get it, like we said with Mike, it'll come full circle until they're in that position. But being able to hear if they feel disappointment or if their self-esteem is low or something you did wasn't necessarily constructive or supportive to them, just, that feedback. We want it in a relationship. Why don't we, I think as emotionally healthy parents, we can view our relationship with our children as being with another person that has needs and desires and things that they want to communicate. And if we smother that in them, we typically will see adults who have poor boundaries, low self-esteem, lack self-efficacy because they never had that opportunity. Self-worth. They didn't have an opportunity to find themselves and figure themselves out under the protective guidance of people who genuinely love them. How do you go into a world and you're not even able to discern between the two with other people who might not have had that same environment? So
end up doing that with us.
Yeah, that's what you come in therapy for. We get to reparent those childhood traumas and advocate for you and give you affirmations and tell you you're amazing. They're like, where did you get this from? I've never heard this before. And it's like, oh, you should have grew up surrounded by this kind of stuff. Like, your parents should love you and support you. Why else did they have you, right? So that's where I think emotional wellness can definitely stand and hold space for someone if they're working towards having that really sound connection to their children, even with someone absent in the home, just being connected with what their goals are as a parent.
Right. So just following up from that same question, what are some ways that a supportive, emotionally available parent can give you skills for a healthy romantic relationship? And I think you touched on it a little bit, Dr. Ebony, saying how it helps with just making sure that you're building a relationship with a child as just a relationship, not just parent-child, but as a relationship in general. So how can you all speak to that?
So is this with the parental figures having a romantic relationship, or dating while also being an in-tune parent?
I think we're talking about the children. So if you have an emotionally available parent, how does that help you have a healthy romantic relationship in the future?
On the other side. I think for us, I love that question. My biggest thing is, if you don't know how to love and take care of yourself, how do you offer that outwardly, right? And typically for most of us, at least in my experience, and maybe you guys have had something different, if you lack in the capability to offer that to yourself, it's hard to identify outside of you. Sometimes it creates insecurity where you don't think you're worthy of that type of love and affection. And then also, you just really don't have the shelf or capacity to offer it to another person, because it's just this very foreign concept, almost like emotional infancy. And now I'm in this romantic relationship. How do I show love and receive love and realize that I'm worthy of that? So being in an environment where you understand your dad is always going to clap for everybody at the graduation. Like, you always have a warm, safe place that's going to comfort and love you, that no matter how much you fail in your relationship, your failure is not internalized as your self-worth. This is a circumstance. So I think what we do in allowing guidance, not control, in parenting allows adults to be healthy, whole individuals that are now looking for a relationship that enhances them, and less about it validating who they are and how they show up in the world. It's a compliment to them, not a need. Because the goal, you know, we're women here, Uncle Mike. The goal is not to get a man, right? That's never the goal, is to be your best self. But then when we get into the arena where we have a partner, we want that partnership to be the icing on the cake, but not the cake itself.
Still taking notes. Sorry, y'all. Uncle Mike, you in the hot seat. Thank you for that, Dr. B. That was very insightful, actually. Uncle Mike, you in the hot seat.
Good.
How can we, as women, support our partners in fatherhood? You've mentioned it before, but let's just hone in on it. Be specific. How can women support our partners in fatherhood or with their fatherhood journey? How can we be better, like, co-parents, I guess?
That's awesome. Awesome question. I'm gonna keep echoing the same notion, right? So we're going to continuously sit in our seat. We're going to continue to identify problems with our partners and help them emotionally to identify that they actually have the issue, right? We're going to continue to communicate well. And I probably should start with that, right? So communication is key. Any healthy relationship has great communication. All communication is not verbal. Some of this is going to be both physical and emotional, right? Identify how your partner moves when they are distressed or whether they're happy. I like to use this as an analogy, but this doesn't fit all men. Men normally walk around with two emotions. One is happiness. Happiness projects as happiness all the time. Anger is the other emotion. Anger covers every other emotion. So men translate sadness, disparity, distraught, emotionally confused. All of that is covered by anger, and it may all look the exact same to you. So you may see a guy and he looks upset, he looks angry, he's probably sad, or he's probably going through a particular emotion that's being protected by anger. Understand what the underlying problem is, right, in your partner, and then help him to resolve that issue, coming up with solution paths, right? Not giving him the answer, kind of like you do when you nurture your child, right? You are a great nurturer as a woman, and that's not your only skill set, but it is one of the tenets of your skills. Also nurture the relationship between you and your partner, right? Help him to get on the path of best solution base, and then help by navigating him to the solution. These examples would be in constantly talking, playfulness, banter, having conversations about key things like finances in the home, or what's going on in the next year, or what our next 5-year plan looks like, and are we on schedule? Is there anything we need to change? One of my favorite tenets, and I won't get into the whole thing, but I like to have conversations in the restroom or in the bathroom because they're just really intimate for me. But having those conversations, touching and loving on each other. He might not be receptive to starting this type of play with you. But if you help him to get comfortable, these are things that will help him relax in order to communicate better with you.
The hard one that he didn't bring up, because you would need to be in coaching with him, is forgiving his past.
Listen, listen, that sounds real juicy. We just gonna have to bring y'all back, and y'all gonna talk about relationships. Yeah,
She gonna make me do
it. Not today. Not today.
Yeah.
Right where we were. Fran, what's the next question?
All right. Last question here.
What?
Uncle Mike. How can we as women support our partners to seek therapy?
Ooh. Yeah, this is always a hard question, right? Hard to get. We kind of touched on this before we started, but hard to get men to move when they don't feel like the problem is something they want to share. So innately in men, we want to believe that we can handle everything ourselves. I'm no different than that. Though I know the right answer, I don't always apply, right? Just recently, I had to change my diet in order to maintain my blood pressure. Getting older and less active has caused some problems in my life, right? And I wanted to handle it on my own. And as it turns out, you can't really do that when you have people around you that care about you, right? I saw having blood pressure issues as a ding in my armor. I saw it as a detriment to my character. And that example is how men see problems in their lives. It's a direct reflection of them as a person. So they scamper and hurry to try to resolve it internally. The way that you can be a positive reinforcement in your man's life is to constantly do the things that we talked about up until this point, right? Constantly be in communication with him, always be lovingly urging him to be more emotional, to be more connected, making sure you involve him in on all of your plans. And when you see the person in your life, whoever that is, derailing or getting off path, making sure to have a good, safe place where you can have those intimate conversations with him in love, right? Not you identifying that he has a problem that he needs to go deal with, but you inviting him to help maybe, dispel some of your confusion about why he is going through these problems alone, and then surrounding him with that love to help him feel more empowered to continue to come back to that trough, right? That is your relationship. At the very end of this, right, if you can't do it, remember that you always have a resource in Dr. Blue and Damitra over at Haven. I'd be happy to help if prescribed by Dr. Blue. I'd be happy to help and jump in and be a resource as well. But in closing, if you constantly are in communication with your spouse or with your partner, you should not fall victim to not being connected enough to know when your partner is having issues.
Yeah, I was going to say for men, I think if we as a community can change the stigma of mental health, very similar to what we talked about for women who've been seen as like going to therapy is a sin or it's a shortcoming. We mirror, we have these conversations all the time. Black women are mirroring the same things that men are going through. When we have failures, sometimes that is like a ding in our intellect, right? It's our intellectual armor. If I was a smarter woman, I wouldn't be with someone who did X, Y, and Z. When it's not about IQ, it's about EQ, your emotional intelligence, right? So I think for men, if we can maybe tell them what happens in therapy, right? sir, it's the place where you get to talk your shit, and she will not, or he will not tell you to shut up like your spouse will, right? You really can be seen and heard, and your voice is valued in therapy. It's not this bad thing that's representative of a health issue. It's actually the reflection of a healthy issue. I think can also help us with our partners. And if we have a partner who is open to therapy, this may be cringeworthy, help that man find a therapist. Like, don't be ashamed, like you're enabling him because you went and found a therapist, got the number, sent the email, sent the insurance card, made the appointment. I shouldn't have to do all that. But you won't say that 6 months from that time frame where you cookie cutter stair-stepped him into an unknown arena. He's now looking up a better, more holistically healthier partner because you showed him, you know, fishermen, we show them to the water, we gonna help them drink, but then we're gonna teach them how to get that hydration themselves. I think that can help maybe bridge the gap with men. Therapy is not the barbershop, right? But we offer the same level of comfort and anonymity that a barber could offer. We just happen to have gone to school and got the qualifications or training for it, not just the life experience, right? So you get that whole spectrum through therapy.
I just need y'all to say one more time how the barbershop is not therapy. Neither is the hair shop. And we'll move on.
Those are really good places to have great conversations about specific issues as it pertains to a community problem, right?
Yeah.
And you can learn a lot of stuff at the barbershop or at the hair salon about people's opinions. Right? And there's a lot of them, right? These types of and not all of them are false, right? So when you go to the barbershop and you learn some of my greatest mentors, we all get our hair cut together. But I realize that we are all individuals that have lived lives individually, and we have our own paths, which we draw experiences from. And that's where that knowledge comes from. Something that helps my friend may not help me. If you try something that you learn in a barbershop environment, and it works for you, then kudos to you. That was great information and helped you. But if you try something that doesn't work for you, it doesn't discredit the place where you got the information, or it doesn't discredit the people that gave it to you. You just may need a different form of help, which means, and I'm gonna echo what Dr. Blue said earlier, make sure that if you see somebody, or if you feel like you need that type of help, that you seek it out, right? Or you help them seek it out. I think the barbershop is a good place to get support, but probably a bad place. But probably a bad place if you're trying to get very specific, keyed in tools to help you get over a real issue that you may have been living with the majority of your life.
If he tell me one more time, the men at the barbershop. No, I can't. So y'all, once again, we have brought you an amazing conversation with the lovely Dr. Ebony Blue and the crew from the Haven Healing Spot. They've once again blessed our podcast with their wisdom and insightfulness and why you should go to therapy. The last time she was here, she gave just quite a few, and we posted them on our social media, as y'all saw. And if you didn't see, that probably means you're not following us. So go ahead and follow us, hit notifications, whatever, because we be coming with the hotness. But today we gave you just a few more by adding just a few more friends to the conversation. As Coach Mike said, communication is key. So just remember, y'all can reach out to them even if you need help in communicating. So Dr. B, give us your contact information once again, please, and thank you.
You can reach me at www.drebonyb.com, and that's a way to reach out to us as well as the coaches at the practice. You can also reach me at TheReal, REAL .EbonyB on Insta. It's my favorite social media platform too.
Future Dr. D, do you have a place separate that you want the folks to reach out to you?
Oh, you can reach out to me on Psychology Today. You can just search Damitra Smith and that should come up. And that's another way to contact me.
Hey. And Coach Mike, what you got for us?
So the best way to reach me is through Dr. Blue and and soon to be Dr. D. Right, those are the two best resources to reach out to me. But and I don't really have a handle yet. I am working on it on social media, but email is probably the best way to get in touch with me. It's Coach Mike Said at gmail.com right now.
Coach Mike Said?
Yeah, Coach Mike P said, I'm sorry. Coach Mike P said at gmail.com.
We're gonna work on his Instagram and his Hoochie Daddy shorts, y'all.
I looked up Hoochie Daddy shorts and I was like,
Kiki, do what you do best, friend.
Got you.
So that's it, y'all. Y'all know where to find us. Take Care Sis Pod on Instagram and Facebook. You can find me on most platforms as This Curvy Yogi. That is curvy with an I, not a Y. And Ki, where can they find you?
On my, brain fart. You can find me on my webpage at www.yogawithki.space. You can find me on Instagram. I'm changing my Instagram name, so that's why I was like, But today it is yoga with _Ki on Instagram. I'm rebranding, y'all, so it's gonna be something different next time we talk.
We understand. We definitely do.
Okay, so what are you doing for self-care this week, friend?
I just got Discovery Plus. I'm finna get lost.
The cable channel, Discovery Plus?
Yes. Some of us are late to Hoochie Daddy shorts. Some of us are late to
We'll take that journey together.
Yes. Yeah, so I have a busy work-related stuff. I have a busy, starting next Friday, my life is going to be busy for the next full week, literally. So this week, I plan on pampering myself with a bunch of Disney Plus. I'm catching all the Marvel stuff, all of it.
Oh yeah, that's the jam. I'm a Marvel fan.
I see
Dr.
you, sis.
Blue? Dr. Blue?
For me this week, I have a lot of projects. I've been working with some amazing professionals with their branding packages and all that stuff. So self-care for me this week will be to increase how often or the frequency of meditating. So when I start feeling stressed, I want to go detach and meditate and then come back so that I'm trying to balance out how much stress chemical I'm producing to see if it has an impact. I know that sounds like the most, but that my self-care is more active meditation throughout the day, not just in the morning and not just at night.
That sounds wonderful. Soon to be Dr. Damitra.
It's Damitra. You added an I. Everybody always says
She gets you.
like, you got me deep.
I'm so sorry.
Damitra. But I'm planning on becoming more consistent within my meditation. I am not as consistent as I should be. So I'm actually doing a 14-day challenge along with Dr. Blue for meditation, and actually journaling and yoga. So my plan is to become more active and to meditate more.
And this is recorded. This is recorded, so we're gonna play that back at the end of next week.
Let me turn this camera off real quick.
Ooh, another Ki.
Right. I was just thinking that. We got the same last name, so we probably are kindred spirits after all. Dr. Mike, what are you doing for self-care this week? Or I'm sorry, Coach Mike.
So all of you all do yoga. I think that's awesome. I'm not gonna do that. But,
you should.
They have chair yoga. They got chair yoga. You can sit in a chair.
Do that. I'm gonna do it. So I have a form of yoga. Being a country boy, I'm gonna go out in the woods this week. This is summer months for us, so we prepare for our winter harvest during this time. So I'll be out in the woods. Hopefully this week someday with my buddies, and we'll be clearing off our little deer lease and getting ready for hunting season.
It's too hot.
It's the best time to go out there, man. Best time to go out there is when it's burning up because you don't have to worry about insects and things of that sort. So
that man said that is his yoga. Y'all better leave him alone.
that's
Listen,
right.
we finna go. We gotta go.
Girl, you're not gonna skip over me. I went through everybody else,
sorry.
so let me tell you what I'm gonna do.
Sorry.
Girl,
100%.
I'm about to fire her.
Don't do it.
I'll quit. No.
Okay. Y'all see, I got two more witnesses to this mess. My self-care is gonna look a little different this week. We tell y'all about taking care of yourself all the time. I went to the doctor this week. I have vertigo, so I have to take some medicine to correct that. Probably from a fluid buildup in my ear. I've been having balance issues, bouts of dizziness, stuff like that, and it kind of flared up a little bit more frequently. So I went ahead and made an appointment and got me some medicine. And so this is my week to take care of myself in that way.
Wow. Prayers up, sis.
Yeah. So now that's it. Now we can go. Ki, go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
I finished.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
You got it. You got it.
That's it, y'all. I want you to take care, Ki, I guess.
I need you to say it nicely.
I need you to take care, sis.
There we go. Thank you. And I need you to take care. I need you to take care. I need Coach to take care. I need future Dr. D and Dr. B. All of y'all, just take care. Have a great week.
You too.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you.